Greetings, fellow primates. Jim the Ape here, and today I'm going to be responding to a YouTube content creator by the name of Steve Shives. Now, my pet human already made a 40-minute response video to two of Steve's videos about the men's rights movement. Link, description, you know the drill. Now, hopefully, I'll be able to bring something new to the conversation about Steve's craziness. And hopefully I'll be able to keep this video under 30 minutes long because the video I'm responding to is only about 5 minutes. Also, prior to hitting the record button, I haven't really seen any of this video, so I don't know what Steve is going to say, but it is a Steve Shives video, and it's apparently about feminism. So, let's take a look.
Hi everybody, it's Tuesday here at the Breakfast Club. I'm Steve. How's it going?
Well, it's neither Tuesday nor breakfast time for me, and I could be doing a lot better seeing as how I'm looking at and listening to you.
That's right. Beer instead of coffee. The downward spiral begins. I had some thoughts about a picture that a friend of mine shared on Facebook the other day. I'll show you the picture. It's this picture right here. It's taken from, apparently taken from a sign on the LA Metro.
Okay, that's a lot to take in. All right, I'm going to read the sign, and then I'm going to try to give my thoughts on it as briefly as possible. Okay, so the sign says, "Respect our women passengers. Please refrain from the following: staring, masturbating, following, unwanted touching, unwanted conversation, and asking women where they're from. These actions create an unsafe space and contribute to violence against women. If you are unable to refrain from harassing other passengers, please change seats and notify the bus operator." Okay. First things first. Respect our women passengers. Now, this I could forgive because it's not necessarily saying by omission that you should disrespect the male passengers, but it is a little bit curious how specific it is when they could have just taken out the word women and saved on letters. I mean, the company that makes signs does charge by the letter, right? Isn't it more economic to just say respect our passengers? Anyway, and then it gives a list of 6 things to please refrain from doing. And essentially, only 2 of them are demonstrably bad, or at least in such a way that they would be against the law, and that would be masturbating and unwanted touching. Now, I'm aware that while being in a moving vehicle, unwanted touching could happen by accident. You know, the vehicle's moving around and people in that vehicle are going to be, sort of forced back and forth by the motion of the vehicle. That's how it is on subways. But I understand what they're going for, where if you deliberately are touching someone and it's unwarranted, sure. I can see how that's a bad thing, and especially if it's more direct and explicit, like a sexual assault. And then masturbating, pretty sure that's some kind of sex crime. I believe that would probably fall under indecent exposure, or maybe there's a separate public masturbation charge. The point is, those 2 things are not simply social behaviors that you have no recourse but to ask the person to refrain from doing. Those things you could probably call some kind of authorities to help you if that actually happens. And there can actually be an investigation to see if, charges can be brought up. And if maybe the person needs to be punished by the legal system. But the other things, staring, following, unwanted conversation, and asking women where they're from, well, those things aren't illegal. And that's because those things aren't directly harmful. Contrary to what you might think, someone staring at you does not send magic beams of harassment at you. That's not how it works. I mean, I know you humans tend to believe some stupid things, but even we apes understand that that's not how looking works. An unwanted conversation, well, your options there, you could ignore them, you could tell them to fuck off. There's a whole lot of things that you could do there. It's not necessarily harassment. Sometimes people are just chatty Cathys and they want to talk to you, and you don't want to talk to them. You can just tell them to fuck off. And that goes the same for someone asking you where you're from. And following can be a little tricky, because do you really know that they're deliberately following you? How would you know that? It could be that they're just going to the same place as you and taking roughly the same route to get there. And then at the bottom, it says that these actions contribute to an unsafe space and contribute to violence against women, which I have to disagree. The only thing that contributes to violence against women is actual violence against women. This is one of those things that I can't stand with the feminists and social justice warriors diluting words to mean practically anything that they don't like. No, I'm sorry, but violence against women is only when a physical act of violence is committed against a woman. And that's arguable, because do you mean violence against women in general or just violence against that one woman? But instead of going down that rabbit hole, let's look at the last line where it says, if you are unable to refrain from harassing other passengers, please change seats and notify the bus operator. Yes, because the person doing the harassing is going to police themselves. Like, by this same logic, murderers and rapists and bank robbers should just see signs everywhere that tell them that if they're a murderer or a rapist or a bank robber, they should just go turn themselves into the police. No, that's what the authorities are for. When people do wrong shit, you have to have authorities that have the ability to punish them for doing wrong shit. But I think I've rambled about this sign long enough. I think we'll get far more entertainment out of Steve.
So that's the image. It was shared by my friend Neely on Facebook. And the first comment under the picture when she shared it was some dude asking, why does it say respect women passengers? Why doesn't it say respect all passengers?
Well, that is a valid point, Steve. But, like I said, I can understand why it's not necessarily saying by omission that you should disrespect male passengers. Anyway, go on.
And it ties in very closely with another commonly heard stupid question, which is, why do they call it feminism? If it's for gender equality, why do they call it feminism?
Oh, my pet human had a very long-winded response to this. Basically, they call it feminism because they're not for equality. I mean, they say they're for equality till they're blue in the face, reciting the dictionary definition of feminism like it's their John 3:16 mantra. But their actions tell a different story. If you look at the feminist reaction to any time a group wants to get together and talk about men's rights issues, if you look at the feminist reaction to that, it's clear as day, that what they want is essentially female supremacy. I know it sounds crazy, but think about it. They want all these rights for women, and they want women to be treated like extra special snowflakes that are precious and to be protected. And yet, the second you even talk about male suicide rates, circumcision, the draft, child custody, any of these men's issues, they come out of the woodwork to call you a misogynist and say that you automatically hate women just because you're trying to help men. Steve, that is why feminism is very much not for equality. And that is why feminism is called feminism. The more you know.
Why doesn't it just refer to itself as humanism? And the reason I say that this is a stupid question is because it ignores the obviously apparent reality that you can see just by opening your eyes and observing the behavior and the traditions and the values and the customs of the culture that you are a fucking part of.
Again with this, Steve, there's got to be a name for this fallacy. This just open your eyes and look bullshit. I vote to call it the Steve Shives fallacy. But that wouldn't be fair because you have so many fallacies in your arguments that it wouldn't be fair to tie you down to just one. But look, Steve, you're an atheist. And when I listen to you talk about atheism, you seem pretty rational. And you say some pretty agreeable things. And I guarantee you, Steve, that this argument would not work if a creationist was using it on you to say that the world is just so beautiful and complex that if you simply look around you, you see that it must have been created by a higher being. There must have been an intelligent design. That argument would not work on you for the same exact reason that you using that to justify your position of feminism doesn't work on me. Because guess what, Steve? I'm not living under a rock. I am looking around me. And you know what I'm seeing? I'm seeing millions of newborn babies getting parts of their genitals chopped off legally after birth. Like within a week of being born. And I'm seeing 18-year-old boys having to sign their life away to their government, to their government's whim, in order to get the right to vote. I'm seeing men who have to pay their earnings to the mother of their children that they never get to see. I am seeing men killing themselves at alarming rates, and I'm seeing men enter dangerous jobs where every day at the office, so to speak, could be their last day on planet Earth. That's what I'm seeing, Steve. And your feminism isn't doing shit to help any of those problems. So maybe if look around you is a convincing argument to you, Steve, maybe you need to look around again.
The reason why it's called feminism while advocating for gender equality is because females are the gender that are the underprivileged, underserved gender. You attain gender equality by advocating for the rights of the underprivileged gender. Do you see how this works?
Oh, so women are the underprivileged gender, are they, Steve? Tell you what, I will forget about all of the men's rights issues I just mentioned, temporarily for argument's sake. If you can name for me one legal right that men have and women do not. And I'm not talking about social behavior or crime statistics here, Steve. I'm talking about legally sanctioned right that men have and women do not. And by the way, bonus points if it is important and has anything to do with physical safety or survival. I'm waiting.
It's the same reason why we call it the gay rights movement. It's not because we think gay people deserve to be better than straight people. It's because gay people are in the inferior position and we want to raise them up to equality. That's how you attain equality.
Key words, Steve. Rights movement. See, you're talking about feminism, which is an ideology. Now, if you were talking about something that was like the gay rights movement, but simply replaced gay with women's, that would be fine. However, the women's rights movement doesn't exist anymore. Not in the United States. Because in the United States, women have all the same legal rights as men, arguably more. But instead, what we have now is an ideology called feminism that spends most of its time bitching about social behaviors, trying to censor art that it finds sexist or misogynistic, and just basically infantilizes women and men alike to basically being whiny little crybabies who can't stand the fact that people disagree with them.
The reason why the sign on the bus, on the metro, says don't masturbate to female passengers is because female passengers are the ones who are made to feel unsafe by that behavior.
I don't know, Steve. I'm a 300-pound silverback gorilla, and if I was on a bus where some guy started jerking it, I would feel pretty unsafe.
Now, I'm not saying that a female passenger on a metro has never just openly started masturbating to a man.
Oh, yeah, baby. Yeah, flick that fucking taco on that bus. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's so fucking hot. Oh, yeah. Oh, shit. Now I have to change seats and notify the bus operator.
I don't want to say for sure that that's never happened, but I would guess that the ratio is pretty lopsided. It's mostly men doing that to mostly women. That is the nature of the problem that the sign is meant to address.
You killed my buzz, Steve. And with a baseless assertion, no less. I mean, I'm not necessarily saying that you're wrong, but, I mean, do you have any evidence to back that up?
That's why it fucking says respect our women passengers, not respect all passengers. All right? Have you got it? It's not an accusation that you personally are a rapist.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Rapist? Steve, who said anything about rape? I thought we were just talking about solo outings on a bus here. I mean, not that that's okay, but it's a far cry from rape. Or are you just one of those feminists who says that anything sexual that a woman doesn't like is rape? Because unfortunately for your ideological narrative, it doesn't work that way.
So drop this hypersensitive defensiveness.
Hypersensitive defensiveness? Like making a 5-minute video ranting and raving because someone made a Facebook comment that you didn't agree with?
And either grow up and learn to accept the fact that we live in a society where there is gender inequality and where it disadvantages women, and that is a problem that needs to be addressed.
Accept a so-called fact that hasn't been proven to me in any way, shape, or form? No thanks. I'll leave that to the religious.
Or toddle off to the men's rights movement subreddits and bitch and moan with the other guys who are upset at the unfair divorce settlement or because they never get to see their kids.
Steve, I hate to get personal with you, but I have a feeling it's the only way I'll ever get through to you. Now, I know you have a wife because she occasionally shows up in your videos, and you talk about her sometimes too. And I'm pretty sure you don't have kids, but let's just say that you end up in divorce proceedings with your wife. I know, perish the thought, and I hope it never happens, but if it does, imagine you go into divorce court and basically your wife ends up taking half your shit, and all of a sudden you have to scratch and claw just to get by. Now, if that happens, Steve, do you think you will have the same derisive attitude towards the men's rights movement as you do now? And it's funny because in the videos that my pet human responded to, you actually admitted that divorce court is a problem, that family court is a problem, and that the draft is a problem. But yet you mock members of the men's rights movement for being misogynists. And you say that like all they do is just bitterly attack women. And yet you've admitted that they have good points. And I just wonder if your two-faced attitude, simultaneously agreeing with points that the men's rights movement makes and also deriding men's rights activists as being misogynist, I wonder if that would change if you had actually experienced some of these things. And you know, it's funny because I'm an ape, so I haven't experienced any of these things. And yet I still understand and I still sympathize with the members of the men's rights movement because their points are based on facts, things that actually happen. There's evidence, there's statistics, and there's reasoning to back it up, solid reasoning. And their arguments aren't just about calling other people bigoted. Their arguments are about actual legal rights, Steve. And you're treating them like they're just whiners. Which is really funny to me. Because I think the way you treat men's rights activists is a lot more appropriate as it pertains to feminists. Not that they deserve to be treated that way, necessarily, but just the opinions you have of men's rights activists seem more accurately appropriate to apply to feminists.
There's a place for you. It's called the men's rights movement. It's a little bubble of misogyny on the internet that you can go and be with your own. And when you ask them a question like, why does it say respect our women passengers instead of respect all passengers? Oh, you will have such a warm, welcoming response. They will not mistreat you and abuse you verbally the way I have just done. They will love you and support you for everything that you are.
Oh, and I'm sure feminists never have echo chambers, safe spaces. You have to get out. You have to get out. The University of Missouri. I'm sorry, Steve. I just have this terrible cough.
A deeply oppressed holder of a penis.
You know, Steve, my pet human had a pretty good point about this. Is it a whole penis? Or is it a legally mutilated one?
Whose life has been ruined by these mean, nasty women. So I would suggest if you can't hold up in the real world where these problems really exist and where people feel the need to try and address them in real ways, put in your application for membership in the vaunted He-Man Women Haters Club and just be happier over there. That's my suggestion to you. If you look at a sign like that, or if you look at the term feminism and you just can't understand why it refers specifically to women, go there. Go there. They want you. They will accept you. Personally, I have no use for you. Anyway, that's it for me.
Fuck it. Take it away, Doc.
You are a cunt, a big fat stinking cunt. You say it ain't true, but I can tell you you're a motherfucking cunt, you're a big fat stinking cunt. Everybody knows from your head to your toes, you're a big fat stinking cunt. I try to say, I say it twice, be real nice, even though it is hard to keep up this facade. And now I see, dearie me, what a hassle that will be. I'm a man of luck, I don't give a fuck, cause you're the cunt, not me. Why don't you go fuck yourself, dickhead?